Yes, welcome into Running It Straight, folks, for another Wednesday, the 12th of June. We talk rugby league for the next hour up until 3 p.m. You can text through anytime on 8833. We'll have a look back on the Warriors win over the Cowboys. Win number 3 on the bounce for the Wars, and they play the Melbourne Storm this Saturday at Go Media Stadium, Mount Smart, a team that they haven't beaten since 2015, I think. Toru Harris was involved with the Storm the last time the Warriors beat them. So there's something that proves that losing record. So we will talk about that. We'll have a look at the other round 15 games going on this weekend. But a very special guest in studio with us for the next hour or so. A former Warrior, former Melbourne Storm player himself. And if your Wikipedia page is correct, Albert Vete, again for the Point Chef Pirates this year. So he joins us in studio, Jello.
Welcome, brother. Cheers. Thanks, boys.
We're audio medium here, bro. They can't see the handshake. But
No, we're on YouTube as well,
true,
mate.
yeah, live on YouTube.
We're all over the world.
Anyway, it's great to have you in here, Albie, to join us for the next hour, talking a little bit of rugby league. Point Chef Pirates. Played a game, have you?
Yeah, whoa. See, I thought because you were coming back, I thought you'd retired. You're done. You're hung the boots up. You're still going, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I'm going to give back to the community now and get amongst it. And I actually have never played Fox before. So
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Just straight to the big time.
I've always wanted to have a game and say that I played Fox and that. So got a swinging arm to the nose, started bleeding first carry.
Do you think you were targeted?
Do you
think you were targeted? You know, people knew who you were. Just want to send a message?
No, I think that's just how rough the Auckland Rugby League is.
No bunker.
Yeah, the referee said, get up and play the ball, son.
That's the initiation, bro. Welcome to rugby league. Boom.
Yeah, the Fox Memorial. It's interesting you talk about that. A lot of people listening, Warriors fans or casual rugby league fans around the country probably don't know much about the Fox. Like, what you said you wanted to play in it. Like, what? Tell us a little bit about why it's so special.
Did you know he's a union boy?
Yeah. We'll get into that. But what's so special about the Fox?
I think just everyone that sort of played rugby league and gone on to play the Warriors had something to do with Fox Memorial and the local Auckland Rugby League comp. And I know when I was sort of coming through first grade, boys were dropping down and playing New South Wales Cup. And every time I was playing New South Wales Cup, I would meet the boys that played Fox, and I'd go watch their games and see how intense it was. And man, I always been a fan from afar, and obviously just went with my rugby league career, but always kept a close eye on Fox Memorial League. So.
Fox is a funny one, bro, because you got some real gun players.
Yeah.
And like guys that just didn't go pro for whatever reason, or guys that have been pro and now retired, or guys that are on their way up, like really special talent on their way up. So it is a real mixed bag, bro. And they're playing for, every team. Like there's some gems all over the place.
Kevin Locke played quite a few years in the Fox.
He's still going.
There you go.
Richmond Rovers, I think.
Yeah, and a lot of guys, to your point, Jello, like if they weren't playing reserve grade, would go play for their Fox teams, wouldn't they, on the weekend if they were involved with the Warriors? So yeah, the quality was certainly there. But we've got Albert Vete in studio with us for next hour. If you've got any questions, you can send those through on 8833. Jello, I'll let you.
I've got a question,
kick it off.
So. St. Kitts, you're playing rugby. What makes you want to jump over to league?
Obviously I grew up playing rugby union. It was sort of, that young boy dream that want to play for the Blues, want to play for the All Blacks and that. But when I came to my final year of school in 2011, the Warriors had a pretty good year that year. All three teams making the grand final. The under-20s went back-to-back. And at the time that just seemed really appealing to sort of be semi-professional, and for me that was going to be my route to go into the professional environment. And so I just decided once schooling finished in 2011, I'd go into the Warriors system, the under-20 system, and then go from there.
Was the rugby path not as prominent in front of you?
It probably wasn't as appealing as when you're watching the under-20s on TV every week, and that Toyota Cup comp back then was really strong, and you could see boys going from rugby union and doing really well in rugby league. Omar Schleimankel at the time was playing for Auckland Boys Grammar. Conrad Harrell, those boys were converts as well. So that was sort of my path.
All those guys were household names. And they hadn't even played first grade.
Well, and that's interesting. Yeah. I was just going to ask you, looking at the Warriors now and how well they're doing, and how many kids are probably in a position that you were in, where maybe they're playing rugby at school and they're seeing what the Warriors are doing and they're buoyed by it and they want to be a part of it. Like, can you see similarities? Was it literally a case of this team's doing well, everyone's supporting them, full stadiums, etc.? That's enough to convince me to give it a crack?
Yeah, 100%. I think the way they had it going back in 2011, the support that everyone was getting behind the Warriors, obviously the first grade team were leading the way, and the finals run, if you could remember back to the finals run they had, and everyone jumping on the bandwagon for that finals run, and then the New South Wales Cup team going to the final and the under-20s winning it and going back to back. I think just that pathway that they had was really, at the time appealing, and looking at it now with how many young teams that the Warriors have, the SG Ball, Harold Matts, Jersey Flag. I mean, it's becoming the direction is a lot clearer for those boys if they are thinking about making the switch.
It's really cool. I saw this poster. It was when these guys were at school. I think it was the Final Four, like semi-finals. It's like an advert poster. And it's got Albie for St. Ken's, Roger for OC.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's this photo shoot, and they're like sitting in this changing room, like, Final Four kind of thing.
That's cool.
It's iconic, man.
It really
Honestly,
is.
I'd love to see
Maybe a signed copy.
I think, back then, First 15 was on TV when I was playing. Right. And it was like a big deal, it was good coverage, and I think that's how the rugby league scouts were watching some of the rugby union boys.
Right.
And, I mean, I've known Roger for a long time. Like, we played rugby against each other since we were about 8 years old. So and then went on to play First 15, and then played league against each other for a bit, and then played league together. So it was
what position were you playing in union?
I was playing number 8.
Yeah,
that's number cool. 8, and
Did you convince Roger to make the switch as well? Was it a mutual conversation?
Roger actually lied to me because we played Blues 18 that year, and I told him, man, I'm hearing like some boys are going to league. Are you going to league? And he was like, nah, I'm not. And he made New Zealand schools that year, and then I didn't. Yeah.
What was your yarn, Jello, about Roger?
Oh, he came 2011. He came to a New South Wales Cup training. So he came with one of the Otahu boys. His name was Phoenix, and he's like, "Oh, Richie Blackmore was coaching." He's like, "Oh, Richie, this is my mate. He plays sevens at school, bro. He's mean as." And Richie's like, "This is a cup train. You can't just bring your mates here." There's Roger Tuivasa Sheik. Don't just bring your mates here. What do you think this is like? I'm not running an after school program. And then Roosters sign him the next year. Oh, well. And then we buy him back for $1 million. Cheers, Richie.
Yeah. Could have been a lot cheaper. Yeah.
All right, so you start playing footy, start playing league. Sorry, fast forward 2 years. 2013, you make the Junior Kiwis.
Yep.
Who's in your team and who are you playing against?
Dylan was in our team.
Ooh.
Yeah, Dylan was scoring freakish tries
Winger?
like that for he
was he doing the dives back then?
Yeah, he was doing the dives back then. Yeah.
Didn't have the hair though.
Yeah, Raymond Fatala Mariner, he was our back rower. Yeah. Ngani Laumape was our centre.
Wow, yep.
Oh,
back those days,
yeah.
Pre-Warriors,
that'll bring back a memory for some fans and rugby union people. But the Aussie team was insane. The Junior Kangaroos team was, I think only one person hadn't played NRL in their team.
Wow.
And the only person that
had
played...
under 18s.
Under 20s.
Under 20s.
And the only player that had played NRL for us was Ngani. And so we were looking at a team and...
What sort of names
freaks.
for the Kangaroos?
They had like Junior Polo, he was their captain. A guy, Galepi Danginoa, I'm not sure if you guys remember him, but he was coming from the juniors, he was a freak.
Yeah.
Yeah, who else was playing for them?
Who was the halves, can you remember?
The halves.
Was it Jacob Miller?
Jacob Miller, yeah. I'm pretty sure Mitch Moses was the other one.
Oh,
gee.
Yeah, they had a freakish team.
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
There were some cool memories though. Yeah.
So we'll get to the Wires and we'll get to Melbourne in a little bit, but reflecting on your career thus far, okay? So you've been to a few clubs, just got back from the UK. Reflecting on your career overall, like, is it what you expected? Like the goals that you had and things like that to where you are now.
Yep.
Like, what's the journey been like, and how did it meet your expectations of?
I think it's everything I wanted. I remember as a young kid telling my parents I wanted to be this professional athlete. I wanted to play rugby for a living, and I was lucky enough to live that dream out. Then having kids and being able to take them around the world, take them to places that I knew my parents wouldn't be able to take me and my siblings when we were young. So sometimes I got a bit worked up, I wanted more, but then, my wife was like, man, just look at what you've achieved so far. Like, there's a lot of people that can't get to that stage, and you've done that, and you've played in these big games and played at all these stadiums. And so then it was kind of coming back to New Zealand a couple of weeks ago. It was just a bit of a reflection stage in my life, and seeing like all the stuff that I've been able to achieve and the life I've been able to give my kids.
It's a hard one, because I think that's an athlete thing, is you're always comparing to, or always striving to be better.
Yep.
So even when you get to the very top, it's like, what's next?
Yeah,
what's next? You know, you win the comp, win this, do that. You got to do it again next year. You got to back it up. And
I think that sort of just helped me with what I wanted to do next, and why I wanted to come home and give back to the community and to the Pacific Island people, because that's how I grew up, and those people helped me get to, you know, where I was in terms of my career, and they all played a small part, and it's time for me to give back.
Yeah, it's wicked, man, 'cause I saw you yesterday at the office. So the coaches meeting finishes, Albie walks out with his book, and I'm thinking, bro, this guy, I haven't seen this guy for a couple of years, and then he just pops up in the coaches, and I was like, wow, what are you doing back here, man?
I was going to say, you could have broken a story there, Jello. Albert Vete spotted at Warriors HQ.
What's changed from the WASFO? What year did you leave?
I left in 2018,
Okay. Oh, yeah. We were both there together, 2018.
Started 2018, right? And that's the year that they made the finals for the first time since 2011. Yeah.
What's changed about the place?
Man, the whole revamp of the gym where all the coaches sit and stuff is it just looks a lot more professional. Like, and speaking to some of the boys that were there when I was there and that are still there, guys like Bunty, Jazz. And just saying how professional everything seems, the change in the personnel in terms of like what Webby's brought in with all the coaching stuff he's brought in, they've all played a part. And watching them train yesterday, man, it was refreshing, because it was a lot different to how we used to train. Everything was a lot faster and a lot more structured, and it seems to be working for them.
I was laughing because you walk into the gym, and at one end there's this big glass box, and all the strength and conditioning staff are in there. But back in the day, back in 2018, this was like a oxygen deprivation chamber. That's why it's got the big glass windows and stuff. So I used to say, Albie, that's your office, because we used to come in the morning and he'll be in there, you and Sam Lasoni in there boxing or doing like all their extras. And
that was our extras.
That's Albie's office.
That was my office.
Albie's office.
Yeah, now Balin Couples has kicked me out of there. Now he's taken over.
I love it. Albert Vete, our guest in studio, up until 3 p.m. You can text through any questions you've got on 8833. Did you have any Warriors like idols growing up, or like when you were talking about 2011 there, was there a player that stuck out that you were like, oh man, he's my favourite?
Yeah, I think growing up I used to love watching Ali Lawatiti. He was definitely someone that attracted, you know, viewers because of what he could do with the ball and that. So he was always, and then Manu Vatave, he was obviously being Tongan as well. He was someone I really looked up to, and then being able to play with him. Probably a game that stands out probably is the last time the Warriors played the Storm. Nathan Fredden did that. That
between the legs.
Flip between the legs, and one of my good mates, Tui Lolohe, scored that try. And we even talked about it when I was over in the UK. He's playing over there, playing for Huddersfield. So it was, that was seeing those little, you know, we played under 20s together, and then sort of progressed up and played first grade. And
how much NRL are you able to consume, or have you been able to consume, like sort of being up in the UK? Like, do you still follow it real closely and watch heaps of games?
Yeah, it kind of works out well, because it comes on in the morning over there at about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So I'd go do the school run, drop my kids, and then come home and make a coffee and park up.
Nice.
On my days off. So I do follow it quite a lot. A bit of a rugby league geek. So
love it.
Yeah, can't get away from it.
By one team, so Warriors are playing Melbourne this week. There's been so many players that have spent time at Melbourne, and you know they're doing really well after football and stuff. And a lot of them credit their success off the field to their time at Melbourne and the things that they learned and stuff like that. What's the place like, bro? Because they say that they learn these values and learn, you know, just different things, and you know, just kind of changes the way they look at life. What was your experience at Melbourne like?
I loved it there. I really learned a lot. I spent 2 years in rehab there with multiple shoulder reconstructions, but I think it was kind of a blessing for me, because I just sort of was able to watch how everything operated. they gave me a role to help out, the team that runs against first grade. So I was in there with Ryan Hinchcliffe, and we were like, we'll do these plays against the NRL, and like we'll get these boys in here. And man, I really loved that role. And they were like, yeah, Albie, you can lead the Renegades. That's what they were called back then. And and so I was the captain of the Renegades and used to run against first grade. And I think just how fast Craig made training was, like, he used to say it all the time, like, we train fast, the game is easy. So like everything was just at a pace that was like, you could see some of the players like blowing and training, and then you come to the game and you could see why, it was just easy for them. And just the whole family like culture that they had there. You get there and you really buy into it, and they really look after you. And my wife and kids, they loved it there as well, because one thing Craig does is at the start of the year he takes all the wives out for dinner. Just a pre-thank you for what's going to be a long year ahead of us, head down, bum up, trying to grind for that premiership. And I think when I look back at my time there, I learned a lot of things from a lot of different people there, the people of Melbourne, the fans, and just the boys in itself. There's no dickheads there, and if you are, you get sort of filtered out pretty quickly.
That's awesome to hear, man, because you hear players that finish there, not one person has anything bad to say about the Storm, and you have those clubs that they kind of pretend to be that, we're one big family, and then when something hits the fan, you show your true colours really quickly. But what I've found with the Storm is they're very genuine in what they do, and I see it in the Warriors as well.
Well, when was the last time anyone asked for an early release from the Melbourne Storm? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it happens at other clubs. I don't think I've ever seen it from Melbourne Storm. Just quickly, we've got to take a break very shortly. A lot of people, particularly Kiwis, you see Craig Bellamy, he's almost like this ethereal figure, and certainly you see the blow-ups in the box. What was he like just from your point of view? Obviously, he probably does have a few blow-ups in him, but outside of it.
Yeah, definitely has a few blow-ups in him. But you could see how much he cares about his players and cares about what the team does. And man, he used to like always check in on the boys. Like I remember he during that COVID year, it was hard for everyone, and he would always check in on the boys that had kids in there and made sure that our kids were. And like for me, that was like, man, that's this guy. Yeah, he's got all this going on about, what I mean. It's a little thing, but he always used to say, little things turn into big things. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, we've got Albert Vete in studio with us here on Running It straight up until 3 p.m. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will have a look at the Warriors-Cowboys game over the weekend. Another big win for the Warriors, their third on the bounce. We'll have a look ahead to Melbourne this Saturday night at Go Media Stadium, Mount Smart, and cast our eyes over the rest of round 15 in the NRL. Running It straight here on SENZ. We'll be back in a moment. And Albert Vete, who's in studio with us up until 3 p.m, talking rugby league. You can text me anytime on 8833. As you always do, they have a cast back over the weekend, and the Warriors went over the Cowboys 42 points to 12. 3 wins on the bounce for them. They had the bye in there too, so they've 8 points from the last 4 weeks, which is absolutely fantastic. Boys, start with you, Giallo. What impressed you the most about the win against the Cows?
The most, probably to Mighty Martin, bro. He's so good. That's the way that he's carrying on that momentum that he's found. So since Shawnee's been gone, he's just taken on his new role, and he's just nailed it, man. And then that game on the weekend, he was just pure rugby league. It was so good to watch. Potentially
performance of the week. We do have to give that out for Alpacine Hair Loss. Choose Alpacine Caffeine Shampoo. Tamati stand out for me, but anyone else?
Marata again.
Yep.
Yeah, just showing what he can do. Someone, it was the Wise Up podcast, they posted a video, which I reshared.
Great page.
During the week. They had some clips of Marata, what he was doing on defense, and the way that he gets up really hard, but is still able to change angles and make dominant tackles. Oh, he's gifted, man. It's so good.
Oh, he's made a massive difference since coming back. Albie, anyone for you sticking out?
I thought Adam Fanua-Blake had a big game.
I
think there was a lot of pressure on him this game, I think, because of what had happened, what's been going on, and a lot of the fans were sort of saying don't need him, but I thought he really stood up and got the boys going forward, and you can only really attack like that if your middles are going forward. So I thought he had a big game.
Right, the easiest anytime try scorer bet I've ever placed. Eden scoring.
You know what? Every time he scores now too, that little shrug, that's iconic.
It is.
That's going to last. That's his legacy.
I think Ayshford like one of the best try celebrations in rugby league at the moment because it's so unique and it's such an Eden thing.
One of the boys at Point Chev did
when he scored. No, you can't.
And we said, he's starting a movement.
Yeah, that's something.
It's just starting a movement.
In 20 years' time, we'll look back and be like, "Hey, there it is."
Yeah. It's like chopping up the ball
That's
celebration.
in that demographic.
But we're all in agreement. Tamati, probably player of the game if you had to pick one.
Yeah. I think so. if you look when they scored their tries and they're coming back into the huddles, you could see him talking, and I think that leadership that he brought when Shawnee wasn't there, you could just see him barking orders and telling the boys what's the next set, and that stood out for me.
He's just stepped up. But it reminds me of when someone starts driving and they got their learners.
Yeah.
And they drive and they got like their hand at the 10 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
This
is Tamati when Shawnee was there, and he's like 10 and 2 and he'll check his mirrors and he'll do the little on all the
couple of bunny
on
hops.
all the hill starts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then now it's like he's got his full license.
Right.
He's got his restricted anyway. And so now he's drifting corners. He's go pick his mates up. He's got tunes cranking.
Past curfew.
He's drifting. Yeah. Like it's good to watch.
All right. Tamati Martin, our performer of the week. Thanks to Alpecin hair loss. More and more men choosing Alpecin caffeine shampoo. Doping fee only for here. Tough place to go as well, Townsville, isn't it? Generally a little bit hotter, a bit more humid. Cowboys generally perform well in front of their home fans. And the key thing for me, boys, as well, Cowboys defence, very, very leaky in 2024, one of the worst defensive teams, but scored, I think, outside of the Roosters, the most points in the NRL. Warriors restrict them to 12, and I think that's a massive plus as well.
It's a tough trip. I mean, you got to go from Auckland to Brisbane,
2
get
flights,
off a flight, up to... Saturday night, the Queenslanders would have been on a high after, Origin, and I think it was a real professional performance from the Warriors.
There was big delays too. So when they got to Brisbane, I think they were 3 or 4 hours delayed.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So as soon as they got there, the boys, they were late for dinner, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, right. Well, big game this week. 7:30, Go Media Stadium on Saturday. Storm in town. They're in first position, and the Warriors haven't beaten them since 2015. There's lots to talk about here, boys, but let's just start with the team lists. And Andrew Webster basically naming an unchanged side, apart from, of course, Sean Johnson coming into the 7. It pushes as Chanel to the 14, Dylan Walker, Jazz Savanga, Kurt Capel rounding out that interchange. The rest is pretty much unchanged. And that has been the discussion point, obviously, when Sean was fit, bringing him back in, who, I guess, misses out. And what that dynamic's going to be like, given the team's just played so well over the last month or so. I don't know how you see it, Jello, but do you think it's going to be a pretty seamless sort of transition for Sean coming in? Or
You hope so. You hope it's going to be that Shawnee comes back and just adds what he brings. Tamati keeps going as he's going, and then we have this real dynamite halves pairing. What you don't want to see is a step backwards. What you don't want to see is go back to the footy we were playing 4 or 5 weeks ago when we lost 5 on the bounce, because it was boring, it was predictable, it was, you hope that they can still stay hitting both sides. Even though Tamati looked really good going left to right last week, if he can get it going on that left edge, like they did in the Panthers game, like they did in the 2 other games after that to get those wins.
I think for the Warriors and Sean Johnson, it's a big test for them. Storm are leading the competition. They're renowned for their defence, and after leaking a few points against the Knights last week, they'll be out to try rectify that, and they know it's a tough place to come to New Zealand and play. And I just think Sean and the Wires are going to be too good this weekend.
It's going to be season defining, I think, in a couple of ways. Given how high the team has been riding over this last month, and now coming up against a team that is inside the top 4, if they can get a win, that obviously propels them and the expectations back into the top 8. They would have beaten 3 top 4 sides in the space of 4 games. They'll be right up there. Whereas a loss to the Storm with a couple of tough games coming up, you sort of think, where are we at? Where are we sitting? Where's it going? So in a way, it is sort of season defining.
Yeah, it puts them in an ugly place in that hierarchy of things. But when you say they haven't won since 2015, do you mean one at home or one just
They haven't beaten Melbourne since 2015.
So nearly 10 years,
Nearly 10 years. So I think Sean's the only one who's beaten Melbourne in a Warriors jersey.
Okay.
And there's only about 4 or 5 of them that have ever beaten Melbourne. I think Kurt Capel with the Broncos, Marata a couple times with the Eels.
That was the game I was talking about, that Nathan Friend flick.
Yeah.
Was that 20?
That's the last game.
That was the last game.
That's a long time.
So if you think though, because there's been some other big streaks with Melbourne particularly. So Brisbane last year, they had that hoodoo that they couldn't they couldn't beat Melbourne. I think they were 14 games straight. Or
well, the
like
Cowboys had the previous record that got broken in 2022. They beat Melbourne. I think the record was they were at 14 games maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a season definer for Brisbane because they had to jump that hurdle to show they were the team that could go on to the grand final. So
could kick on, yeah.
So I think we now find ourselves at that same hurdle where we got to beat these guys to show that we can go all the way.
Yeah, and you know the I guess the mental factor we nearly did it earlier in the season, right? If not for Xavier Coates. Absolute freakish play in the corner.
You know what? He makes me nervous every time, man. And even going into this week, I don't think there's any other player that can lock down that aerial battle like he can. Every time they kick, even when there's nothing on, he can get a little tap back, he can make it ugly and score points. Well,
for Melbourne, the side that they've named pretty much backing up as well after the win against the Knights. Of course, there's no Cam Munster, so Tyron Wishart, who's been doing great things for my fantasy team alongside Jerome Hughes, and a pretty stable pack too. Obviously, these guys aren't backing up from Origin like they had to against the Knights. Just from both of you boys, what has impressed you the most about the Storm in 2024, and in particular without Cam Munster? Because that's the top of the comp. A lot of people thought this year might be the year they drop down or potentially out of a top 8 position, but here they are doing Melbourne things in the first position. What, I guess, has impressed you the most this year about them?
For me, it's Jerome Hughes. So stepping up without Munster, just putting the team on his back, man. He's been really impressive, and it shows. He showed some real good games the back end of last year. His performance for the Kiwis against that Aussie, I think they went 30-0. Yeah, he's one of the best, man.
Albie?
Yeah, a couple for me. I really think because I'm a forward, I'm going to back the middles. And I think Tui Kamikamica has been really strong for them. And also an ex-Warrior, Ali Katoa, has been going really well
he's
for
been
him.
fantastic.
10 by the try line. He's really stood up for that forward pack that, some teams look at and go, there's no Jesse Bromwich in there. It's not as intimidating as, the previous Melbourne Storm packs. And I think, Ali and Tui have been doing a really good job and getting the team forward. So,
right, boys. Texting here on 8833, which is going to lead into my next question from Dewey, says, can we assume Tamati and SJ, with both of them playing, the plan will be to attack on both edges, almost like a two-prong, or are we thinking, Sean will try and sweep around and Tamati will just play roll? That leads into my question of what's the game plan for the Warriors against the Storm? How do we beat the Storm?
I think we have to attack both sides. Because when we had it just going right edge, every time the ball came left, we knew it was just a set-up play. And other teams knew that too. If they win that play, the ball slow it down, then it's going right to Shawnee. And whether they get a quick play the ball or not, you can almost take an extra number because you can guarantee Warriors aren't going to go left. So you hope that with Tamati there, playing with a bit of confidence now, we attack both sides and, they really have to cover everybody.
Yeah, I think that left edge for Melbourne led in a few tries. That young fullback for the Knights scored on his debut, on that left side. So I think, if it's not broken, don't fix it, man. Keep going down that right edge. If they're getting those combos right and they're scoring those tries, keep going there.
It's going to be very interesting to see, I guess, how Sean uses Tamati and how he, I guess, commands a bit more ball as well, just to make sure that we are doing it on both sides. Just a quick one here from Paul. It says, boys, I hear the Wires are keen on Vegas, but Cam George has said there's a non-negotiable that needs to be ticked off. Do we know what that is? I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling it would be to do around the money thing. As I understand, the home team gets like a big cash, and it's like $200,000-$300,000 from taking the home game to Vegas. The away team only gets about 50. So, both teams are travelling. Both teams are doing the same thing. Yet the home team gets this big windfall from, I guess, not having a game at home. But I don't know. Maybe that's a non-negotiable that Cam George has got. But look, for selfish reasons, I'd love to have the Wires in Vegas in 2020.
Well, if SENZ is sending us,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm 100%
with you, brother. You're behind that, but no need for Cam to negotiate anything.
Maybe that's the non-negotiable. Maybe
SENZ heading over.
Maybe to make sure you both head over.
Have the ticket. Prediction, fellas. Scoreline, winners, player of the day. What do you reckon?
I think Warriors 1-12. I think
you always go 1-12, don't you?
No, well, Melbourne's too good. You're not going to see Melbourne get blown out. I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's sold out. I think the crowd's going to get the Wires over the line.
And who do you reckon's the star? Who gets the 3 Dally M points?
Oh, SJ.
SJ, straight back into it. Albie, what do you reckon?
I think.
Actually, no, I take it back. AFB.
I was going to say.
I think he's going straight through two.
He's stolen my.
I read your mind.
No, I think AFB's gonna back up, especially playing at home. I'm gonna go home first try scorer. Warriors.
Oh yes.
Warriors 1-12.
Yeah, throw
Give
it
me
in.
that shrug.
Give me that shrug. We love to see it. Texting on 8833. What do you reckon? Your prediction for Saturday night if the Warriors can do it? That would be 4 on the bounce as they head into the Titans game the week after. We'll take a break here on Running It Straight. When we come back, we'll have a look at some of the other round 15 matchups. There are quite a few tasty ones in there as well, so stick with us here on Running It Straight. And we've got Albert Vete, former Warrior and former Melbourne Storm player, in studio with us up until 3 p.m. We're going to have a look at the other round 15 games very shortly. JJ reckons Waz to monster the Storm 13+. The juggernaut has awoken. He also thinks the non-negotiable for Cam was that the Vegas game was an away game, so we didn't lose any home games. So, and maybe it's something like that. I can try and check in with Cam and find out what the deal is. Right, boys, round 15 underway tomorrow night, 9:50. The Thursday night game at PointsBet Stadium. The Sharks up against the Dolphins. The Dolphins fresh off the bye, and the Sharks welcoming back Nico Hines to the number 7 jersey. What do we reckon?
That's going to be a mean game. Matchup: Asako versus Mulatalo. The two wingers going against each other. There'll be
a bit of chip from Mulatalo. There'll be a bit of lip.
Oh yeah,
the two Kiwis.
That'll be a wicked, man. I'll take the Sharks 1-12 in that one. Mind you, I don't like backing I've always backed the Dolphins this year, and they haven't really let me down, especially when Kafusi and Hammer.
But they haven't.
Kafusi and the Hammer are playing.
They got Herbie Farnworth back as well. They haven't really performed against the big teams though, Jello. That's the problem. We haven't really seen them deliver against the team.
I thought they looked good when they came to Mount Smart. They look really good. Farnworth, bro, he's so good.
He's a gun. Yeah.
He's so good.
One of the best in the comp. What about you?
I think Nico Hines needs a big game for the Sharks off the back of Origin. I think he didn't play in the weekend against the Broncos, but yeah, I think. For the Sharks to get the win and win well against the Dolphins, it's going to be off the back of him.
What do you reckon? 13+, 12 and under, Sharks?
I'm going to go 13+ Sharks. Yeah.
There you go. I think I'm leaning 13+ as well. On the Friday night game, 8 p.m, we've got the Raiders and the Cowboys up at GIO Stadium. Raiders sitting in 5th. That is absolute fraud. But that's going to be a difficult game for the Cowboys, who are really reeling at the moment. They just cannot string any consistency together. The defense is atrocious, and the Raiders coming in off the bye. We were just talking about them in the break. Young, especially the halves pairing. What do you reckon, Jello?
I think if Cowboys do good in this game, they're going to have to go around the Raiders. Okay, because you look at Raiders, their pack. So Papali'i and Tapani there in the middle, and then you've got Whitehead, Smithies, and Hudson. All can defend really well. I think Cowboys are going to have to go around them. I like the Raiders for this one, 13+.
13+.
Just because the Cowboys' D was that.
It was bad, but I also think they'll be getting a rocket, and these guys are now a week fresh of Origin. They were backing up after only a couple of days.
I don't know though, because you give them a rocket, but how do they fix what they've been doing bad all year? You watch some of their D, if you go back and watch that Fanua Blake try, or even all their tries close to the line, their D, they get up 5 meters, and then they're backing off. They're stagnant. They're all on different pages.
I think the big one, Jason named to start.
Yep.
I think I hope that experiment's over, because I think he needs a big game this weekend. Defensively, they leaked in a few points that were, when you look at rugby league teams, that's 101. Not through the front door.
Yeah.
And I think Josh Papali'i loves scoring a try, so they're gonna need to muscle up against him.
So 13+ for Jello. What are you going, Albie?
I'm gonna go upset. I'm going to go that the Cowboys are going to do it 1-12.
There you go. I don't even know what the odds are, but
Murray
is it an upset?
Taulagi back, I think he's going to score a few tries.
I'll check the odds and see who's the favourite in that one. Friday night 10 p.m. game, and this one interests me for a couple of reasons. It's the Rabbitohs and the Broncos, and probably 2 weeks ago you would have said that's a cakewalk for the Broncos. But with the way that they've been playing over the last few games and the way the Rabbitohs have been playing, welcoming back Latrell Mitchell, moving Jack Wyden into the halves.
Finally. How long have I been saying that?
Yeah, Cameron Murray onto the interchange as well, fresh off his injury. And I just think the Broncos, they can handle not having one of Adam Reynolds and Reece Walsh, but missing both of them. I think was their undoing last week against the Sharks. What do you reckon, Jello? Upset on the cards for the Rabbits?
I think it's an upset coming. I think they just got to do one more piece of the puzzle would be to move Latrell from fullback to centre. And then you got Whiten on his inside, and then that left edge becomes lights out, game over.
Who plays fullback though?
Well, who else do they have? I'm sure they got someone they can put there.
Yeah,
Who
Jai
else is in
Gray,
there?
but is he still injured or is he?
Yeah, he's still injured.
Yeah, Jai Gray I think still out.
until he comes back. But Latrell, like Albie said before the show, this is an origin trial for those guys.
Yeah, I agree.
And Latrell showed what it means to him last week. That was unreal from him. Cody Walker, all of them fired up.
Well, that's the funny thing, right? The Brisbane players, guys like Selwyn Cobbo and Payne Haas, Paddy Carrigan, there's no trial for them. They're lock-ins for Origin. Whereas you're right, there's plenty of players in that Rabbitohs team that want to put their hand up.
Got a lot to play for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think another big one is Cam Murray coming back. I think he's an Origin player, and he'll be looking to have a big game. To put his name back in that picture.
And just going back to that Cowboys Raiders game here, Cowboys are outsiders 215 to the Raiders 170 at the TAB. So picking up there. So do we get a prediction? Sorry, what are we thinking?
I think Raiders 13 plus.
Right. No, for the Rabbitohs Broncos.
Oh, Rabbitohs Broncos 1-12 Rabbits.
No,
Bunnies.
I think the Bunnies is going to score a lot of points. I'm going 13 plus Bunnies.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's big calls. Calls. Saturday 5 p.m. West Tigers Titans. It's not going to be one that I'm going to sit down and watch, to be honest. But
We'll skip through that one. Watch the highlights.
Yeah, watch the highlights of that one. But can we get a quick prediction from you?
I think Titans 1-12. I think Fafita's going to have a big game again, like he did against the Rabbits last week. Still no Papali'i for the Tigers, and I said without him they're going to struggle. He's kind of like the backbone of that team. Without him, it's tough going. And Lockie Galvin, what's going on?
Wow,
what's going on?
I don't know if he gets a chance back in that jersey as well. When you think of Adam Dewey coming back alongside Caesar, and then they've got Luai coming next year. So
it's a big kick in the nuts when you give this young guy a chance
to
kind of build him up, give him opportunities that
no one really knew who he was before.
Yeah, exactly.
Boys, I've never heard of an 18-year-old in his first season of an NRL
getting as much airtime as
but asking for a release.
Yeah,
like you think if you're young, you're getting your shot, you stick with it, or you sort of wait. Like you're 18, you don't need to be going to a premiership winner when you're 18.
No, exactly.
But anyway, so you think Titans gonna get that one? Albie, what do you reckon?
I think if Adam Dewey plays, Tigers win. Yeah.
I've got a text.
He's named in the reserves, but not sure if he's fit yet. But yeah,
boys, wait a minute. It's at Leichhardt Oval, the spiritual home.
Oh, let's just
telling you, Adam Dewey plays, Tigers win.
Adam Dewey plays, Tigers win.
Yeah.
Texting here on 8833 from a great friend of the show says, "Is Mr. Vete the most eloquent front rower ever?" That's on 8833.
He is very articulate,
He's
isn't
very
he?
articulate, yeah, for a front row. Eels Roosters Saturday 9:35. This one is also a little bit interesting. I mean, the Roosters, I would argue, boys, along with the Warriors, probably been the form team of the last month. Obviously, they're coming off a bye, but outside of that, the results they've put out there, one of the form teams, the Eels, thought they'd look better against the Dogs with Brown and Moses and Gutherson all back. I have a feeling this one could get ugly. Combank Stadium, Saturday night.
Yeah, they should have iced that one against the Doggies. I made the joke with Ricardo. Moses returning to the Eels to free his people from the bottom 8.
Yes, I heard that.
Brad Arthur, let my people go. It's an origin trial for him too.
Yeah, it is.
For Mitch Moses. So expect him to be on. But yeah, they should have won that against the Doggies.
A couple of those Roosters looking to play Origin as well. So
they should have won that game against the Doggies. The fact they couldn't ice that puts a big question mark over them for this game. I'm going to take the Roosters 13 plus.
Noe?
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think Roosters 1-12.
Okay, nice close one at Combank.
Nice close one.
Quick ones to finish. The two Sunday games. You've got the Seagulls Dragons and the Knights Panthers. Are we in agreement that the Panthers get it done over the Knights pretty comfortably?
Yeah. 13 plus. I think Knights are scared of the Panthers.
Okay, then the Seagulls.
Don't blame them.
The Seagulls Dragons, which I know you guys, Seagulls Dragons, which I know you guys may be picking an upset in that one.
That's a tight one. I think I might go Seagulls 1-12 just because similar to the Tigers at Leichhardt, Brookie, the spiritual home, especially Sunday afternoon. They love it out there.
And the Dragons do love collapsing after scoring 40 or 50 points.
Exactly.
So what do you reckon?
I'm back in the Dragons.
He's going for the Dragons?
Yeah, big fan of Lomax. I reckon he's killing it. He's on a high at the moment. So,
all right.
Yeah. big upset, Dragons.
There you go. Those are our tips for round 15. Lots of action to come this week, and we'll, of course, wrap it all next Wednesday on the show. We'll take our last break on Running Straight. When we come back, Jello and I, and maybe with the help of Albert Vete, will add another player to our Simpsons 13. This is an idea that Jello came up with, so we'll get a player each after the break. Running it straight, we're coming up to 3 p.m. here on SENZ, the run home not far away. As we have been doing over the last couple of weeks, Jello and myself are putting together our Simpsons 13. We're alternating picks of who we're taking. And so far, we have got 3 players on our rosters. I've got Nelson Mandela Muntz and Judge Schneider as my 2 props, Snake Jailbird as my second rower. Jello, you have Duffman as your 7.
No, I've got Duffman at back
second row, yep.
Ned Flanders at centre,
yep.
and Barney Gumble at prop.
Right, and so who are we going for today? It's your first pick
so
today.
I picked first. So this guy is very good looking.
Sure.
Very muscular, great build. I could see him going to the line, kind of like a Greg Bird.
Yep.
Option inside, outside, just run himself. Number 6, Troy McClure.
Troy McClure.
Hi, I'm Troy McClure.
Good looking. Probably spends a bit
Pink
more time
shirt.
in the makeup room.
Yeah. We do all our post-match stuff too. Just hand it over to him.
That's true. I'm going to go for fullback, my number 1, and I know you're not thinking of who you won't have thought of who I'm going to pick.
Okay.
Santa's little helper. A little bit unpredictable at the back.
The dog.
The dog. A little bit unpredictable at the back. Wily, fast. And here's the thing. If you want a Latrell guy in team, going to get in trouble a little bit. Gets in trouble with Homer quite a lot.
You've just turned this into Airbud, the rugby league
Is
version.
he not a Simpsons character? He
is. And you know what? We'll be bombing the life out of him. He's not catching none of them.
I think he'd be a great... Mate, dogs are made to catch and fetch and run. That's what he's made for.
And no, he's catching torpees from Troy McClure.
That's running it straight for another week. Albert Vete, great to have him in studio with us, mate. Thanks for coming in. Any chance of you sitting up for the Waz?
No.
Oh, we'll he says it. He says it with intrepidation. The run home coming up next.
SENZ. It's Kiwi for sport.